that answer in just a couple of minutes.
I can't wait.
Hey, welcome to NBA Today. It's presented by ESPN Bet. We are live from Dallas, where it seemed like for a few minutes, we had a game. And then a few minutes later, okay, the series may very well be over. He's Kendrick Perkins. He's Richard Jefferson, Shanae Agumake, Brian Windhorst. I'm Malika Andrews. We have so much to get to, but let's just start with what happened, Shanae, in this game 3. Director Kathy, let's roll the highlight. Luka Doncic knew the importance of this game. No team has ever come back from down 0-3, but Jaylen Brown is gunning for that finals MVP. Dallas, they started out pretty well.
Yeah, their backcourt came to play. I think everyone said this had to be the Kyrie Irving game. We knew that Luka was going to show up, but early, look at that pull-up three, 27 feet.
That is Kyrie Irving at his finest. But watch here, Perk. So Luka, he thinks he's fouled on this play. He doesn't get back in time here to contest what ends up being a Sam Hauser 3.
I mean, Luka doing Luka things, and it was just horrible. He emotionally drained his team from the start of the game to the end of the game with his emotion.
But at the third quarter, Dallas was actually up. And then Boston, this was about as disastrous of a third quarter as Dallas could have here, Rich.
No, it was.
That was an and one.
That was an and one. Boston made their first 6 field goals in that third. You're supposed to make the team call the first time out. Dallas didn't do that. Boston made them call the first time out.
And the difference in this is that Boston played through it, whereas Dallas did not.
Yeah. Tatum, Brown outscored the Mavs 22-19 in the third. And in case you needed an exclamation,
hello,
look out below.
Look at the dunk, but look at Luka again, involved with the pick and roll. No resistance whatsoever.
No one can stop Brown on that one. Tatum says, hold us back. All right, going ahead to the fourth quarter here. You thought this game was over. Fans actually started leaving at this point. A little Luka magic on this pass.
Yeah, that's what we've been waiting for. The belief in the teammates, but also the teammates knocking it down when it mattered most. Sis, I was like, it's time. It's turning. We're about to have a series.
Well, that's what that elbow was from Dirk as well.
It was offensive foul.
Finds his teammate in the corner. PJ Washington hits 3. The Mahomies.
And the
Mahomies, they love it. Luka, right here, is when he's called for his 5th foul. Not pleased about it. And then just a couple of possessions later, watch him here. Brown draws another foul on Luka, and Luka, he immediately turns to the Mavericks bench. He yells, hey, challenge that, and some other expletives I can't say on TV. But they did.
That was more. That right there is more embarrassing than the foul call. You're screaming at your teammates and your bench to challenge it when everyone in America saw it was a block. They're literally just doing that to appease you.
And so, Wendy, what we all thought we would have, Kyrie Irving versus the Boston Celtics.
Oh, I thought this was actually going to be a great moment for Kyrie, but the Celtics are just too good.
The Celtics come at you over and over again. Here, Jaylen Brown cleaning it up.
The Celtics, the level of physicality that they brought in this series don't get talked about enough, especially from the guard and the wing position. They have been very, very physical.
Washington called right there on a moving screen. Remember, they don't have a challenge.
Yeah, because of Luka.
Signal. Big here from Derek Lively.
He played great. He played great last night. Energy was contagious on both ends of the floor.
Watch this here, though. Brown and Tatum. Brown, look at him here. He waves off Tatum.
I got this. Let me cook.
No, he's telling him to stay down. He wants him to get low. He's not waving him off. He's telling him to get lower because they're about to run that pick and roll.
While he got low, Jaylen Brown got groovy. He nailed that jumper. He wanted the shot, and he got it. The Celtics win Game 3, 106-99. Brown had 30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Doncic had 27 points. So let's take a listen to Jaylen Brown on how they withstood that run.
Sometimes when you are winning, comfort kind of sets into your mind. You kind of like relax. Your brain kind of wants to go at ease, and you got to fight that. Even though that lead dwindled fast, we found ways and moments to overcome it. In that fourth quarter that I was proud of, we made some big-time plays.
We couldn't play physical, so I don't know. I don't want to say nothing, but, 6 foul in the NBA Finals, where basically I'm like this. Come on, man. Better than that.
So I asked Luka about how he feels about those comments in the light of day. You're going to hear how he reflects on that in just a little bit. He seemed to take some of the blame there, Perk, for what happened, but, we're cutting up a pie. We're cutting up a pie. How much does he deserve?
I didn't hear him take any blame for that. I mean, I mean, everything about it was disappointing from a leadership standpoint. And, you know, to me, this is now no longer about this series with Luka. It's now about what happens going forward. I now want to see what happens. This is a moment. You know, 2 years ago, we were all in Boston.
Yeah.
We were watching the Celtics go down to a great, experienced Golden State team. And we were like, man, the Celtics kind of let us down here. We really thought that they were going to do something. They were up 2-1. Luka and the Mavericks have let us down in this series. And so now it's like, I believe he's such a good player that he will be back. He might be back next year. But the performance that he had in Game 3 has got to be something that becomes a storyline that we say, remember Game 3 back in 2024?
Yeah.
Right.
Look at now, here, this Game 4, 2026, and whatever. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to learn this.
Something else happens again, and it was like, this reminds me of Game 3. Because we've seen this in Euro basketball. We've seen this throughout his career. He's one of the most talented players that has ever touched the basketball. But when you look at his performance, even then, I said this, Luka's upset, right? He's mad. Challenge that call.
Yeah.
How about this, Luka? If that was you on the other side, and you were Jaylen Brown, and they didn't call that foul, you would lose it. You would absolutely lose it if you were on the other side because you don't get a call. But you shoot more free throws than what you're top 5 in the league in free throw attempts. So it's just, for me, the growth of being a leader is what we now get to watch. The talent is there. And now on the biggest stage, you have seen questions about, in my opinion, his temperament, his leadership, and even his calming and how cool he can be.
That was the worst game of Luka playoff career, to be honest with you. And if you asking me a percentage of pie that I'm giving him the whole pie. He cost his team the game from the start to the finish, not playing with enough effort defensively, crying all night to the refs, and he did it in his post-game interview. Right? The only other people that does this on a regular are defensive backs and safeties, okay, in football when they get burnt in coverages, who never holding themselves accountable. This is Luka Doncic. If you think I'm lying, watch this film right here. I cut up some film, Sinead.
Okay.
I cut up some film. Well, I didn't cut up the film. Jaron cut up the film. But look, here's one play, okay? Look, you're looking at Luka. Look, first quarter, 5 minutes to go, he's already complaining. Luka driving to the basket. He missed the floater, okay? Look, this is a dumb foul.
Dumb.
That is a dumb foul. For what? He raised his hand. No stuff. You fouled him.
Your elbows on his neck.
That's an offensive foul. That's an offensive foul.
And you're laughing like the referees are trying to mess with you.
Look, here you go again. Another dumb foul. Watch this. What are you doing, Luka? What are you doing?
It's not even you. This is not even you.
That's fake defense for the film, okay? Then he points at the ref. That's another foul. That is horrible all across the board. Here you go again. Luka getting back cutted. Not staying connected to his man.
That one I'm a little iffy on. I was like, that one could have gone either way.
Yeah, but
it
could have been iffy on that if you hadn't had the other.
And he knew he had 5 fouls when he was playing defense.
Correct.
Yes.
Look, I like that tape, but you know what this all reminds me of? I read this book by Tim Grover. I believe it's called Relentless, and he was a guy who trained Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant at some points in their career. And the number one category that they really became exceptional about was when they're playing, they stayed present. These tantrums, these emotions that Luka has over the course of games does not allow him to stay present. A lot of people wanted to talk about the blow-by stat because he's not been 100%, but also that shows on defense where you're supposed to have the effort. That not being able to be present has created a symptom that is now a disease for the Mavs. Because the Celtics have a 56% blow-by percentage against the entire Mavs defense. To me, what you go as your leader goes. If he's not fully there, now that creates so many holes that are hard to be plugged. He's playing scramble, and it's not where he's able to control. So I look at this and I'm like, all of these things, we've seen instances in games in the past where he loses his cool, but it hasn't really swayed a series. Now the eyeballs of the world are watching this NBA Finals, and this is the opportunity for him to address this moving forward.
So let me ask you this, Brian, because we've talked about, okay, are we going to look back at this as being a before and after moment? And I said this the other day. I was having a conversation with someone within the Dallas Mavericks. Maybe this will be a moment you look back. Okay, you're not healthy. This is how you need to train maybe differently. Okay, this is how you're treating the officials. Maybe this needs to be a before and after differently. So maybe this is the moment. And this person said to me, well, but we've been here before in 2022. And I said, no, that's not the NBA Finals. And they said, well, it was our NBA Finals. We lost to the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. And if that wasn't a catalyst for change, then why will this be?
But I'm going to talk about when he played for Slovenia. And I know that FIBA basketball, the average fan doesn't follow it. But when Luka plays for Slovenia, it's so important to him. And he's actually led them to glory. They won the European Championship.
He was talking to me about it a couple of minutes ago. I don't have much time to turn around before I need to play for the national team.
They're going to try for the national team. Well, last year, I was at this game in Manila. His performance in this game was disgusting. He got ejected from this game. By the way, Dillon Brooks got up under his skin. Took him about 5 minutes to get up under his skin. Dillon Brooks got ejected too. How'd that work out? Dillon Brooks get ejected and Luka got ejected. He's screaming at the Secretary General of the FIBA on his way out the door. Now, you'd say that, okay, that happened. 2 years ago in the European Eurobasket, which is a big deal for the Europeans, out go the Slovenians. Want to know why? Because in a 4-point game with 3 minutes to go, just like yesterday, he fouls out. How did he foul out? Because he got a technical foul. And in FIBA rules, technical fouls is a personal foul. Done. 2001 Olympics in Tokyo. I'm there again. They're in the semifinals against France. He loses his cool at the officials. How many times is this going to happen? How many times am I going to watch a big game where Luka is on the bench at the end of the game because he can't control himself?
And you know what else is like, when I'm watching this game, right, it's a difference, right, in the personnel as well. When you're watching the Celtics, they're more athletic, right? Physically talented, and they're more in shape. And Luka is standing out like a sore thumb right now. He's not in shape. So when he comes into training camp, it's a certain thing of like maintaining throughout the regular season and postseason, so that when you get to this point, we're still calling him Skinny Luka.
But
right?
To me,
you are.
That's
your
me,
nickname.
I think Game 3 is the biggest motivator potentially of his NBA career because all of the eyes are on him, and now we're going to have to watch to see how he responds.
Absolutely. And I will say, having talked to him a couple of minutes ago, Tatum and Brown became the 6th different duo to each put up a 35-5 stat line in the same game in finals history, joining the likes of Steph and KD, Penny and Shaq. They're the first tandem to do this in the Celtics' illustrious finals history. So here was Boston's star pair after taking that commanding 3-0 lead.
Experience is the best teacher, right? We learned from our mistakes. We learned from a team at the time that was better than us, that was had been there and been over that hump, and mentally tougher at the time, and we've grown from that. We really have, and it was on display tonight.
We've been in those positions and we've lost, so it was great to overcome that with my brother Jason and the rest of our team. That was special.
So, Perk, you saw some growth specifically from Jaylen Brown that you wanted to highlight.
Yeah, in the fourth quarter, he took over. And in the first, second, and third quarter, I thought, and especially in the first half, he took a backseat to Jason Tatum, and he saw that he was cooking, and he let him cook. And then in the second half, he was like, you know what? It's time for me to go off. Crucial four-quarter buckets. And on top of that, he had 8 assists last night. Jaylen Brown, the playmaker. But how many powerful plays has he had in this series starting from game 1? This series is all about Jaylen Brown. I know it's a team event. I'm not trying to put these two against each other or whatever, but he's been the best player in this series by far on both sides of the basketball, between both ball clubs. He's been dominant.
What I love about this duo is you're going back and forth on all right, who's better? Who cares?
Amen.
Who literally cares?
What
I have discovered is Jaylen Brown is their closer. He's also their dog. I was like, who is going to be the Celtics' dog to be able to hold them accountable and bring them through the tough times? Jaylen Brown. And it came down to that play. I believe the score was 100-98. They were up 2, and he hit this jumper right there. He said, I want it. I got it. Yo, it's cool. It's cool if Jason Tatum has 30 points leading into the fourth, and then Jaylen Brown is able to bring them home. That is how championship teams work. So what I discovered is he has emerged as their closer, and Tatum has just held them together, and I think that's been the beauty of their tandem.
Well, here's the thing, right? I think it's more so us applauding and appraising Jaylen Brown because he don't get a lot of flowers, right? Because Jason Tatum, he's always getting the flowers throughout the regular season. He's always winning the individual accolades. He's the starter in the All-Star game. Jaylen Brown feels disrespected, and right now it's his moment, and a lot of people is going to have to apologize, including myself.
Yes, sir, you better, because I remember what you were saying about those
loudest.
So wait, hold on.
Wait, is this official? Are you is this now, or are you waiting until after?
No, we want it now. We want it now.
Are you waiting until after?
You don't even know what I'm apologizing for. What am I apologizing
for? For being the man that say you should break him up?
I mean, mean, that was 2 years ago.
Why we bringing up old stuff?
That was 2 years ago. And you didn't pick them to win this series.
Well, but not Janae said
I did. Speak for yourself.
I told you why I picked
the Celtics.
I did too.
It may be it's necessary to be able to have them both take turns. It's what has made this look like there's going to be a different result this year than there was in 2022.
You know I'm so impressed about with Jaylen Brown is how
I thought you were saying what you're so impressed about with Perk. I'm like, yes, tell us.
The growth.
is his voice. You know, when they traded Marcus Smart, I'm not sure they expected Jaylen Brown to step into that.
point.
But his voice, you watch the huddles, he's leading those huddles. He's in there leading those huddles. We've gotten to hear him on the mics in the postseason and some of the stuff he's saying. You pointed out that earlier with the way he was directing on the court. Jaylen wasn't really this type of player 2 years ago. He is much more confident in what he can do. He's much more confident in the ball. 2 years ago, I'd have been like, oh, man, Jaylen's got the ball. How's he going to turn this one over? I had no fear in this game. You know what he's saying last night in the huddles? George Sedano, who does ESPN radio for us.
Fantastic.
He stands in the huddles. They let him in the huddles, which is a great thing. He was like, it's time to graduate. He was telling his teammates, time to graduate. I was like, man, if I sat here and tried to write a column about this game, I don't know if I could accomplish something better than it was graduation time. He's telling them that in the moment, in the huddle. Not even Joe Mazzulla. He's saying, okay, here we go. He was getting his graduate degree in that game, and so was Tatum, and so was all those guys.
Wendy's got bars today.
Al Horford, Derek White.
Al Horford is already got. He's sort of bona fide.
No, but I think the championship. I think the championship for Al
That'll be
Horford. When he's saying time to graduate, I also look at that. It's like it's time to make that next step to go where we've been dreaming of.
Well, since we're talking about Celtics big men, let's get to in a one-possession game. It was just the third time Doncic has fouled out in his 6 years in the NBA, and it was his first ever disqualification in the playoffs. And moments ago, I spoke with the five-time All-Star to just discuss how he's internalizing the Mavs' loss and a series that seems to be slipping away. Now that you've had a chance to sleep on it, reflect on it a little bit, how do you reflect on fouling out for the first time in your playoff career?
Yeah, it was tough. Probably wasn't the smartest thing. But just, it was a physical game. To get 6 fouls, I didn't expect it.
You're the ultimate competitor. I'm sure you wanted to be out on the floor. How did it feel watching your teammates have to battle without you when the game was within reach for those final 4 minutes?
It's tough. I always say, it's easier to be in a game than being on the bench. I was more nervous on the bench.
Do you feel like if you had been in the game, the outcome could have been different?
I mean, I feel, but, I have trust in my teammates. I think we played some good possession. I have believed that we were going to win the game. Obviously, having me out there, helps Kyrie a little bit more. So, obviously, I think it'll be a different outcome, but you never know.
So Kyrie said after the game, what did you say to Luka? And he said at this point, you just kind of have to give him a hug and tell him it's okay. But did you feel like you let your teammates down?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like I say, it wasn't the smartest thing to do, especially in this situation. It's the finals. You got to give everything. A little tired out there. But, yeah, Kyrie's been great for me, just having him on here.
So what did you say to your teammates afterwards?
It's my bad. Can't do that, especially in the NBA Finals. Regular season is a little bit different, but can't really do that in the finals.
Yeah. To be fair, though, I mean, you guys did figure something out towards the end of the game. It's just hard to dig yourselves out of a 20-point hole. What did you find towards the end that you feel like you can build on moving forward?
I think we were having fun. We were playing our basketball, and that's what we do. We got stops. We ran with pace. And that's kind of how we play the whole playoffs, outside 1-2 games before the finals. So just having fun out there. We kind of forgot to have fun.
You have been dealing with a mountain of different ailments that continue to pile on. How are you feeling now?
100%.
You always say that.
I mean, it's just no excuses. I never have excuses. It's a lot. A lot of people are banged up. Just at the end of the day, it's a lot of games to play.
Do you feel like you still have another level that you can reach even with being this banged up?
Yeah, especially, helping my teammates out. They play a different kind of defense we've never seen before in these playoffs. Just let us go one-on-one. So I think I have to help out my teammates more.
Your defense has been under a lot of scrutiny, maybe because you're hurt, maybe because of something else. Do you feel like you can help your teammates more? Do you think the scrutiny you're under is fair?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're always going to talk about it, but at the end of the day, I don't think the biggest problem is our defense at this point. I think we scored 3 games under 100 points. I mean, that gives credit to Boston's defense. But I think our offense is a little bit more problematic right now than defense. Like I say, we never scored three times in a row under 100 points, especially with me and Kai out there. So that gives Boston defense a big credit. So I think we got to do a better job with that. Like I said, on 20 points, we got to play with a little more pace.
I know you said you're 100%, but do you expect to get another pain-killing shot before Game 4?
It's for cameras. Probably, yeah.
A team has never come back from an 0-3 deficit. You know that. You said that you have to have belief. Why do you have belief in this team that you can be the first?
Because we've been through a lot. We've only been together for 5 months. There was a moment in the regular season when we lost like 5-6 in a row. And, from there we just went up. And I believe we can do it because of teammates I have and the whole team. We have great chemistry, and we're going to stay together no matter what.
Thank you to Luka for his time, as always, and to Richard for trying on Sinead's earring
Literally.
at the end.
What is going on?
I'm trying to do the Mr. Clean. I was going to do the Mr.
interview.
Clean. No.
I didn't know you had ears.
All right, I'm going to go to the adult in the room. Brian Windhorst.
That was
Well,
your best
Give me 1 minute.
I want to commend Luka for doing that interview.
Yep.
Because it had to be brutal to come in after that and talk to you and take those questions. I want to commend you for asking the tough questions. I appreciate what he said, but frankly, I've heard from him before.
Thank you.
And so it's got to be actions over words. It's not going to necessarily be just tomorrow. It's got to be going forward. He's got a lot of years in his career.
Yeah.
He can accomplish anything. What I want to see, Malika, is the interview 2 years from now after they win, or next year, whenever it is in the future, when he's holding the trophy and he's saying, yeah, I remember that. That's what I want to see, and I want that to start to go progress going forward.
Well, tomorrow you just want to see him set the tone, diving on the floor for loose balls, things to that nature, right? Like, that's what get guys going. That's what get the fans involved. That's what let your team know that you're all in, especially on the defensive side of things. RJ, I brought us some tape for you. Ready for it?
Okay, I'm ready.
This is the play that you've been asking for right here. It's coming up. Hold on, it's coming up.
Well,
as soon as he get to, here you go right here. Now look, RJ, this is the play that you talked about.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was like, yo, what is he doing? He's already hit 2 threes. He's already hit 2 3. What? Your strong side against it.
Sam Hauser had the game of his life
Game of his life because he was guarded by Luka.
Okay, look, here go the second effort, the multiple effort plays right here again. Like, Luka is pointing and everything. Look at Drew Holiday, just outworking him at the point. Look.
He didn't even work that hard.
He's complaining to everybody else. He goes to the official during the timeout, forget what his team is talking about, and still complaining about fouls.
He could have had 4 or 5 techs called on him in this game. Forget about the fouls.
Well, and we kept waiting for, I want to get back to this in a second, but we kept waiting for some people to come along with Kyrie Irving to show up, which he did in that game, for Luka Doncic to show up in the same game, and for someone to come along with them. And Derek Lively had 11 points, 13 rebounds, the youngest player ever to have a double-double in the NBA Finals. We shared his story with everybody yesterday here on our show. Just take a listen to these really mature comments as he's thinking back to maybe what went wrong for these Dallas Mavericks.
We're trying to make them play in our game, but we're trying to understand what our game is because we're not on the same page. We can't sit here and be like, the ref did this, the ref did that. We can't control that. What we can control is the positions that we're putting ourselves in to get those fouls. Understanding that if we're talking and we're being mad at the referees, they're going to end up they're going to get the last laugh.
I love him being a 20-year-old stepping up to the mic and holding accountability for himself and his team.
Yeah.
And I do think that in the conversation, a lot of people are talking about the issues defensively with Luka. He sort of redirected it to offense. And if we're going to talk about the offense, good news, Luka and Kyrie combined for 62 points, right? The bad news is the way that it happened. 48 out of the 50 isolation plays were for Luka and Kyrie. That meant their ball movement truly suffered. And if you actually look at this number, I'm going to pull up this dribbles. The ball movement was completely different. The Mavs are averaging 4.70 dribbles before taking a shot in the finals, the most in a series in the last 2 postseasons, while the Celtics are averaging 1.97 dribbles before taking a shot in the finals, the least. So those are 2 polar opposite approaches and 2 different styles. And I think what Luka is saying is, hey, if we get everyone feeling good, then maybe we can get more buy-in. But it really starts with Luka setting the tone.
It does, but also when you talk about like the way teams play, the way teams are set up, and the way they kind of manage this. When you're talking about great teams, where you're talking about the Cavs, when you talk about the Warriors, those teams move the ball. There was still ISO, but there was also movement around that. I think they need a little bit more movement. You can keep the ISO, but you got to get more movement, because if somebody's out, if somebody's foul trouble, somebody else needs to get a bucket. You need that, and that's what the Celtics have.
It's just hard, too, when you're not touching the ball offensively and you're actually put all your energy on the defensive side of the thing, and your franchise guy is not doing the same thing.
Let's spend some time on the good of the Boston Celtics coming up here on NBA Today this weekend, and a strong performance is expected to move him to the forefront of the franchise's coaching search. That's according to our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski. Now, Redick is currently calling the NBA Finals right here on ESPN. He played 15 seasons in the NBA and currently co-hosts a podcast with Lakers superstar LeBron James. So Woj is here with us now, NBA Today, live from Dallas. Woj, what more can you tell us about this upcoming interview between Redick and the Los Angeles Lakers and the timeline from here?
Well, this will be really the first formal full-length interview for J.J. Redick. He met with Rob Pelinka in Chicago at the draft combine. It was more of a get-to-know-you, like a 90-minute sit-down, and they explored a few things, but mostly just talking. This is what the other candidates have had who've gone into L.A., which means you meet with Jeannie Buss, you meet with some other officials in L.A., and kind of lay out a longer it's a longer interview. And James Borrego's been in L.A. twice. And so now for J.J. Redick, he goes in this weekend, I'm told, and he's got a real opportunity to make his case for this job. And I think if it goes well, if they like what they hear on both sides, and there is a shared vision here, I think he is moving again to the forefront of this search. And I know he and Rob Pelinka talked in the last few days about the Lakers' pursuit of Dan Hurley, and certainly I think Redick understood it. Dan Hurley's obviously extremely accomplished, 2-time national champion. You understand the reasons why they spent weeks pursuing him, but now he's by the boards, and there's an opportunity here for J.J. Redick to step to the fore in this search as they start to get down to the wire of making a hire.
So this interview takes place this weekend. Shanae, when we've talked about what the Lakers need in their next head coach, we've talked about, okay, is this the coach where they need to be given a little bit of leeway here to develop a program? Is it better to get an established coach that has some experience coaching superstars like LeBron James, Anthony Davis? Can J.J. fit all of these different criteria?
I don't think he fits all the necessary criteria because he has not been a head coach in the NBA so far, and he's going into a franchise that could help you, particularly with the way that this team is constructed with LeBron, but also Anthony Davis being the face of the franchise. But I want to spin this back to Woj, because what we heard was that the pitch to Danny Hurley was the opportunity to really build out the Lakers for the years to come. Does the scope sort of change if you're the Lakers, considering now there are more candidates that you're looking at now?
Well, I think that is still a big part of this job, developing the Max Christie's, the Austin Reeves, the Rui Hachimuras. They've got the 17th pick in the draft. But certainly, if you're going to Dan Hurley, that's what he's familiar with. That's what he knows. That plays to his strengths. Dan Hurley's got to learn, hypothetically, would have had to learn the NBA game. He's got to learn the rhythm of an NBA season. J.J. Redick knows that. And so certainly his strengths are different than what Dan Hurley's strengths are. I think Redick has to go in and make the case to the Lakers that he can develop players, that he can put together a coaching staff and player development and a plan that Dan Hurley has already showed he could do. The candidates are all different, and certainly not everybody checks every box. And you've said this, Brian, part of why the Lakers have been out of the box in this search is it is not a strong market for established winning coaches right now.
Yeah, I would assume JJ is going to have a lot of questions for the Lakers. You know, they have free agency to deal with. They have roster plans to deal with. We're in a time where we're in a shifting moment in the NBA where does a team dedicated to go into the first apron of the luxury tax, the second apron of luxury tax? What do their plans have post LeBron James? Because JJ's got a great job. He's got the #1 commentator job, along with Doris Burke, in the industry. He's got his own media company, which is extremely valuable and growing. Plus, it's now that he is a head coaching candidate, this will be the second job he's interviewed for this offseason in addition to Charlotte, he could potentially wait for other jobs down the line. So obviously JJ has to perform well, and I'm sure he's been preparing for this day for a long time. But, you know, just because the Lakers have an opening and JJ is interviewing for it doesn't mean it's a perfect match. And that's why, as Woj said, they've got to have an extensive interview process that has many layers to it because it's a big decision on both sides.
Yeah, but you can't just keep, you know, if you get an opportunity to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, you can't just turn that down, right? You're talking about.
I just saw somebody do it.
No, I'm saying, I know Hurley did, but I'm saying, and it felt like a slap in the face to the Laker fans, right? We're talking about one of the most historical franchises in sports, okay? And I know they feeling the heat right now, especially with the Celtics on the verge of hanging banner number 18. Again, this is a franchise that's built on winning. So any coach that takes this job, it's not like they're going to be in the lottery every year. That's not what they're going to be expecting. You at least got to be in the thick of things. Again, this comes down to Anthony Davis high. I know J.J. Redick and LeBron, they got a strong relationship, but how is his relationship with J.J. Redick? That's what it's going to come down. I mean, with Anthony Davis is what it's going to go.
And that's going to be a big part of the conversation is how J.J. Redick, how he sees using Anthony Davis.
Right.
That'll be a big part of it. That's always been a big part of this process.
And the hope is still to have a head coach in place for the NBA draft, and that is quickly approaching. Woj, thank you so very much.
Chào mừng đến với Bình Nguyên Vô Tận. Cả đội xông lên.
Ta ghét những kẻ không quyết đoán.
I'm going to attack if you don't give it your all. Don't underestimate it. Stop!
First blood! An enemy has been defeated!
Đây là trận chiến của các vị thần.
An enemy has been defeated.
Yeah.
An enemy has has been defeated. Double kill. An ally has been defeated. Shut down.
Ngươi chẳng biết được tham vọng của ta đâu.
An ally has been defeated. You have defeated an enemy.
Ta ghét những kẻ không quyết đoán. Tao rạch đất trời.
Explosive!
Your
team has destroyed a tower.
Try harder. Am I finally?
An enemy has been defeated.
Chào mừng đến với Bình Nguyên Vô Tận. Cả đội xông lên.
First blood.
また練習しなきゃ。どうしてアンコールがないの？アクション！ の日か、私の未来のメロディーが世界で大ヒットするって信じてるの。